But it's hard sometimes to keep up with like this update here, this update there. It feels like you have to, as a designer, be in the know of every new update because you have to jump on it right away. Because if you don't use it, then you're going to be falling behind.
Yeah, that's a feeling we all have, right? I think that's also a bit self-inflicted as a community, because whenever we found a way forward, like we're all bragging about it. Look at this thing. I don't need this anymore. Look how fast I am. And that's something that makes someone.
You're officially live.
We are officially live, exactly. I mean, this is just an experiment. I'm concerned about the design community and its mental well-being, to be honest. So before I really dive in, Tyler, how are you doing? How are you really doing?
I'm doing all right. I guess on that note, yeah, there's a lot going, like things are moving fast in general. So I've said it before, creating more than I remember. So I guess stress levels are a bit elevated more than normal, just trying to navigate what the new normal is. So, the ever-changing new normal. But overall, doing okay.
Nice. Well, so that's great to hear, because if I look at the design community, the designers I'm coaching, and just posts on LinkedIn and Reddit, like the whole thing, I see a couple of things. People being tired, from job hunting, not getting responses, and being overwhelmed by AI changes, not knowing what to do, but also people on a job, just having managers and CEOs be like, we just use AI now. Everything has to be 10 or 15 times as fast. And here are the 50 new things we want you to do this week. And people are just overwhelmed and quitting. And, it's a battlefield out there. So I really think we should talk about that, the mental health of a designer in 2026. Maybe tips.
I think
tricks,
it's important.
that kind of thing. Yeah, it's very important. You have to enjoy your work. You have to be happy to go in. It shouldn't be a struggle. And I feel it is a struggle for many people.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's very like the elephant in the room, or the big elephant over the last year is like AI this, AI that. And it's a couple things. It's like mandates from most companies is like, how can we leverage AI to do work faster or do this thing? Or how can AI replace this function, that function, etc. And then it's also just like, how do you work faster? And then a lot of that is growing pains, people not knowing what to do with this new tool that we have. Like, it's like a hammer that sees a nail. It's like, it's just use AI in everything. Like that's the solution, when we're going to slowly figure out that it can't be used for everything. There's still some human in the loop that's needed. So I think I'm very empathetic of like how everyone feels right now, because it seems like just shoot AI at it and it'll fix it, when the human in the loop, at least at the discovery and like that research phase or actually multiple different places, like it's still required. But it's hard sometimes to keep up with like this update here, this update there. It feels like you have to, as a designer, be in the know of every new update because you have to jump on it right away. Because if you don't use it, then you're going to be falling behind.
Yeah, that's a feeling we all have, right? I think that's also a bit self-inflicted as a community, because whenever we found a way forward, like we're all bragging about it. Look at this thing. I don't need this anymore. Look how fast I am. And that's something that makes someone confused and concerned. Like, I should do this too. I should do the same thing and maybe even faster. So I think that's really a problem. Like, maybe it's also like social media is also at play here.
I think it's probably like a majority of it is social media. So like typically, like in tech in general, I think we have to be like, part of our job is being up to date, or historically has been. Like it was from HTML to HTML5 and CSS to CSS3. It was switching from Sketch to Figma. It's like, it was improvements or tool changes that happened over time, but they were gradual. It was like, you could have stuck with Sketch for a good 5 years and would have been fine. And so people use it today, but and you would be rewarded by kind of switching and adopting a thing and posting, hey, I tried this new skill and this new tool. It's great. You should kind of follow me. But like, those are like small dopamine hits that were great to kind of have everyone kind of level up at the same time. But like, those incremental changes are happening too quickly. And like that same pattern that we were following, which is like, oh, let me try this new thing that came out before I get behind. I can be the head of the frontier. Like that is now we're at a point where we need to like pump the brakes ever so slightly. And become a bit more pragmatic, like choose, like there's still jobs to be done and you can do it however you want. You don't have to just because like to hark back to another episode, whatever tool you have, if it's a 7 out of 5, not a 8 out of 5, use the 7 out of 5 to get it done.
Yeah, that's true. I think you have two groups, and I think for the first group that helps what you're saying. So you don't have to use all the shiny tools. It helps when you are an individual, small clients, working with, let's say, your local bakery or the regional tennis club or whatever. And they don't really care. They just want the thing, like, help me build our app to help us build an app to reserve a court for Saturday, or help us build our marketing website. But you also have the group of people, designers, on a job, larger company, multiple designers. And then from the higher ups, they are like, well, now we're just using AI. From this quarter forward, we're fast. I think just saying no puts your job at risk, I think. But I also don't have a great grasp of the American job market, where I feel like you can just lose your job like instantly.
Yeah. Like there's something there with like the moving fast. There's also a consequence to moving fast. Like we've seen it. Like you're moving, yes, you can move fast, but also the error rate has elevated as well. So like we are shipping more things, but the amount of bugs we're shipping is increasing disproportionately to the baseline that it was before. So like, yes, we're creating more, but there's a processes or things that has to be put in place to make sure that it's not a volume game, it's a quality game at the end. Like, yes, you can ship more, but like still there's the QA, like the role of the QA, whoever that is, like needs to do their job, because like we're shipping more than we can see.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think that means that there will be some sort of correction at some point? Like a big market correction?
Yeah. And part of that will be like the cost of AI being too high relative to the ROI. So like, yes, you can have AI create a thing, but like it'll probably cost more than the headcount. So you're like, there's a balance there. So it's like, you can use AI, but like there is like, there's a way of prompting, so you're giving it an accurate thing, so that like the tokens that you're eating up is lower than it needs to be. Like there's going to be a correction that happens. Like I think right now the strategy is like just like balls to the wall. Let's figure it out, and then there's going to be a correction of like what are the things that we should delegate AI to, and what are the things that humans need to be still in the loop for.
Yeah. Which will be enough to, fill your work week with, I would say, because that's a fear many people have. I have it from time to time as well. Not as much, luckily. But whenever something gets replaced, regardless of the quality, you're like, oof, this is just a start. If they can replace this, maybe next week or next year, it will become good. They will become good enough to also take away this chunk of my work. Mm-hmm. But I think, that's also a bias. I think they call it the straight line bias, where you think if something moves this way in this angle, you can just extend that line because it will always move that same way. But usually things even out in the future. So I think that's a good thing to keep in mind. It's just, again, just for your own mental health, because it's, you need to survive that time until the correction happens.
Yeah. Like, and also like we don't get as much of a break. Like there's this momentum like these new tools have given us. It's like, it's go. Like, yes, we have more work just because like there is no like break. It's just like I can go as I'm working on this thing, it's processing. Let me jump on the next thing in parallel because there's that waiting. Like there's this new, like, I got to wait for AI to finish my task, like space that's happening. Like it's a break that we get, but then our urge is to fill it with something else. So it's like, okay, this thing is doing my SEO audit. Let me jump onto this other task in parallel, and then I'm working, and then I'm spinning it. Now I'm waiting for that. Did my other thing finished? No, it's still working. Let me go into a third thing. And then you're creating this mountain of different things where you're context switching more than ever, which is increasing the level of like anxiety that you're spinning too many plates for yourself to handle. Like,
yeah.
So I think it's important to just assess like what the baseline was before any of these tools. So understand like if it took you, terrible example, if it took you maybe half a day to create this landing page and now it takes you an hour, just understand that like the baseline half a day is still okay. So if you do it in an hour, just take half of a half a day. So take like 3 hours just to make sure you have that focus time on that task. So you're not just shipping out something quickly. You have more time. We've been wanting more time to do more granular kind of high fidelity kind of like polished stuff. These tools have now allowed us to kind of double down on like the things that were really important. So I wouldn't rush to kind of raise the flag. This thing is done. Like it used to take us half a day. Now it takes us an hour. Take 2 or 3 hours on that thing.
Yeah. I think that's a very mature thing to do. And it also hurts because I am doing it the way you just recommend not to do. You know, I have multiple things open and I feel like a superhuman when I have AI running at one spot. I'm like, oh, I have 5 minutes now. Let's get started on this new thing. So I probably shouldn't do that as much. You know, I should probably just sit back or, you know, have a drink or do laundry, maybe.
Also, I think I'm curious on your thoughts on this, how it might relate to the design world or the things that you're doing now. We're speaking to a developer about like how AI has changed their work, and an interesting insight came out of that conversation. It was like a bit depressing. It's like you mentioned the challenge has been removed from my job. Like there is no challenge. Like the fun in like the development was like problem solving. Like, oh, there's this component that I have to do some bit of research. I have to figure out how I can implement it, etc. Like that piece has been completely removed. Like there is no challenge big enough that can't be like facilitated with AI. Like it is turned into the volume game versus like a problem solving challenge. So like removing that from your piece of your job, like where the fun is, like the part of our job is problem solving, or the majority of our job actually is problem solving. And if that has been removed, like where's the enjoyment? And then I guess back to my question to you, like has any of that kind of is any of that relatable to like your day to day?
It is not to mine, in all honesty, but it is a top 3 complaint easily. What I see, I'm just prompting all day and I'm depressed. That's something I see a lot. But I'm very lucky to have mostly like startup clients, smaller clients, where there's more time to do things. They hire me for my design knowledge and expertise. So they're not, top down screaming from behind me like, you be faster, use this tool now, like, because they don't know, they don't care, they just want the thing. But I know it's very common. Just when browsing design communities, you see it all the time. And I agree. I would be very sad if the problem solving would be away, like the exploring and the sketching and prototyping. Like that's something I really enjoy. And then when it clicks, figuratively speaking, like when you feel like, oh, this could be the one, this could be the solution. Like that moment, that's the highlight of, of your working day. A puzzle seems to be solved.
Yeah, I think like to lean on the positive side, like for me as a designer, I think for most people it's like, yes, I'm prototyping all day, but like it's probably more relevant for smaller startups is that you get to create, you get to bring your things to life. It's like I'm no longer isolated in Figma. I get to design my thing or then prompt my thing and then ship my thing. And I get to see it. I get to see it out in the world. And then what I love about it is that like, yes, you're prompting all day, but like you are basically becoming the architect of the thing that you want to build. So you're not isolated to like, this week I'm just going to work on the landing page. Like I get to then because my work is accelerated, I get to look high level at the vision that I'm going to create. So I get to not only work on the landing page, I get to work on the email funnel, I get to work on the upsell package, I get to work on the whole vision of this thing that I can quickly see the results of, or like I can quickly bring to life. I'm like, oh yes, this whole thing I created, and I get to see, it's more tangible because it was quicker. Versus like this week landing page, next week this email thing, and then like a month down the line, I get to see what the experience turns into.
Before we continue, if you're feeling stuck in your design career, or if you feel like you're doing solid work while no one really notices, we've got a bunch of extra stuff on our website.
We're building a community for product designers to actually learn, grow, and get hired, not just scroll and collect more inspiration.
There's also articles, checklists, and courses.
All based on real-world experience from both of us. No fluff, just what actually works.
Check out designtablepodcast.com. The link is in the description. I mean, I think the glass half full way of looking at it makes a lot of sense. I spoke to someone recently and they asked me about, AI, and is it positive or negative? And, thinking about it, I think like all big changes in the world, discoveries and technology and that kind of stuff, there's positives and negatives to it. But overall, in most cases, I think it's positive. So I think that's the better way of looking at it. What you're saying is, glass half full and seeing things come to life. Not being stuck to just static mock-ups. For me, that's motivating, to be able to click around and hand over something that actually does something. And it also makes you a better designer because you always discover something new when you can click through something. If you look at the step-by-step mock-ups in Figma, you'll always miss something. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a plus. If you look at the mental health stuff and prompting all day.
Yeah, I think it's different. I think we need to just look at our collaboration partners, like the engineering and other, like probably the engineers get like the shitty end of the stick, just because if they're not interested into like UX or product, like it seems like the challenge is removed. But like we've been unlocked to do a bunch of different things that we haven't historically had access to. So now we get to code, now we get to leverage research, so we do more product thinking. We do less of the pixel pushing. There still is that, but we get to access to these different tools that kind of, for me, and like back to the glass half full analogy, like this is exciting.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you and I, we both have been around long enough to witness those projects where you design something, a developer takes a swing at it and it's more or less the thing you designed, but not really. And then you try to explain to them like, no, this needs to go to the left and this needs to be blue and there's not enough spacing there. And, and then you are annoyed, they are annoyed, and it's just annoying. Now you can just go in and just, do the UI polish yourself. It saves you a whole lot of back and forth and headaches, basically. So that's another positive. I think the main negative is, non-designers one layer higher than you within a company, just thinking like, oh, well, we can just prompt our way to something useful, and they expect you to be a 10x designer like instantly, not really realizing that things just take a bit of time and mentally also take time to wrap your head around and just recharge. So I think that's the main challenge or the main cause of, the fatigue that I see, for my job, of course.
Yeah, of course. But I think there's a solution there. Like, since it's so accessible, just have them do it also. So like they get a bit, it's not like you have to learn Figma, you have to learn all the different keystrokes and all the different concepts. Like it's prompting. So like there's expertise that like we design and engineering hold that's easier for us to prompt our way because we have the context needed. But like if you kind of remove the shackles and let them try it out, they'll get an understanding of like it's not as easy. Like they'll have that dopamine hit because they'll create something, but it'll look terrible. But so they'll know what the limitations are. So it's not just prompt it.
So what you're saying is let them try and fail. Let them just hit that wall and realize like, oh, I do need a design.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's a good thing. It might be my, Dutch upbringing, but I just tend to say no. Like, hey, you need to do more prompting. You need to do this, and we're now an AI native company, and this is our new way of working, and when it sucks, I'm just going to tell them no, That I'm not sure if that works in, in different markets where you can just get fired on the spot. Like, do you have a view on that? Like, can you just, rebel against all of that? Like, or is it just a bit too easy to say, let's just not do it?
You can always say no. It's just about having it back. Like you can get fired on the spot if you don't have value. But if you've been continually contributing value to the company or to the project, like your no has, you can't just say no like just like a little child, but like no because of X and Y reason.
Of course. Yeah.
Like there's reasoning behind like why you don't want to do this thing or that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Now you don't have to be a stubborn 3-year-old without knowledge of how the world works, but a nicely formulated no because Of course, that makes sense. Of course. I saw a post on LinkedIn from a designer who's currently job hunting, and they were very frustrated by a sort of a catch-22 situation they were in. At first during the phone interview, they asked this person like, okay, but do you know all the current AI tools? Like, are you proficient with them? Do you know how to use them? And he was like, yes. Okay. And then the next thing is they gave him a, take home task, just to see how he does. And then the feedback was, well, this looks very AI like, and he was very frustrated. Like, hey, at one point you asked me, do you know AI? Yes.
Right.
And then they say like, wait, but this looks like it's made by AI. I think, I have some thoughts there. I think one party is at fault completely. But I do see the struggle and the annoyance people have there. Like, everyone's telling me I have to be AI first. Now I am AI first, and now they tell me it's not good enough. That's frustrating for them.
Yeah, that sounds like I agree. That's probably both parties. It's not either or. I think number one, from the employer, they don't know. It's so early on. I don't think we properly know how to test it. Like how to probably test people. Their expectation was probably leverage an AI tool, but make it not look like AI. So like use the tool, but like deploy your design technique to make sure it looks branded or unique or whatever their expectation was. And then from the person that you were talking to, they said AI, here's AI. Like there was a disconnect there.
Yeah.
So I think we're just like, I think it's growing pains. It's just, we're not mature enough. Like AI is not mature enough, or like we haven't caught up to kind of properly test or communicate what our expectations are.
Yeah.
It's still too new.
I think that makes sense. Take home challenges don't really make sense anyway, I think, but that's a different episode, I think. Disconnect there is true. I think this designer just took this, hey, do you know AI tools as a given? Like, oh, but I have to use it. Well, they just were curious, I think, about this way of working. I don't know about you, but I myself use AI only like in an assisting way. I don't use it to create design output. But once I have the design thinking in place, I use it to, clean things up. If I decided to make something smaller or bigger, I can use AI to, do that thing. So make it bigger or smaller across all boards, But I'm not going to tell it like, okay, I'm a designer and I'm looking for a health tech landing page generated, done, And I think that's what happened there. But again, didn't see the work. Yeah, many designers are frustrated, and that frustrates me because I think design is a wonderful profession to be in. Especially
it is, and I think there's something to learn about. Everyone is shipping. Like we are losing. Like shipping and creating products wasn't the challenge. It was getting customers or solving the business problem. So, like I think we're going to discover, or if we haven't discovered that already, like you can build anything, but you have to solve the right problem and you have to market it so that people use it.
Yeah.
That's the challenging part. You can build whatever tool, put in whatever prompt, it'll create the thing, but like you have to make a product so good that people use it and keep using it. And also you have to make it discoverable and work on distribution so you have a user base constantly flowing in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I saw a graph where you could see like when AI became as mainstream as it is today, the number of apps on an app store or hosted somewhere, like that line like exploded up. Like everyone's creating something. But then there was a second line. I'm not sure what it was, like revenue or downloads or installs or something. Yeah. And that line was more or less equal. And I think that kind of speaks to what you're saying. It's like everyone's building stuff, but it doesn't really hit with people because otherwise that second line would have been going up as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because build it, they will come has always failed.
Yeah, true. And that makes it look to me as if it's, it's useful AI, but then that become a 10x designer or engineer. That's a lot of social media fluff, that really impacts how people think. We are all expecting the LinkedIn guru to be right,
Yeah.
Especially for junior people who don't really have a grasp of how things are because they're just new. They are getting used to what the world is, as a designer. Like they just think it's true because they have no frame of reference. And I think that's a big challenge for them.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, because they don't have a reference point. I would be careful because like that game that those social media people play is like first to show you that they can use a thing, which is like the algorithms. Like I used it first. Here's how to use it. But do you need to use that new tool and technique? Probably not. You probably get a better understanding if you actually worked freelance with a company directly or worked in-house. Like that's where you understand like what the jobs to be done. The job to be done is not constantly using the new tool, just to use it.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. There's an interview that came out, I think, yesterday or today by some VP at Spotify, I think, where they say like we have 4,500 commits to the code base a day or a week, which makes me think that doesn't really make sense. So many PRs and stuff. So I have a hard time believing that, but there are some people who are like, whoa, 4,500, I should do that too. The most technically advanced, most AI using client I have, they have just over 2,000 PRs since they started 6 years ago. So that's also like one a day. I myself, as a designer / wannabe developer, I have like 2 a week, maybe, good week. So, but when I create a post on social media, like I'm a new type of designer, I can do 2 commits a week. Like nobody's going to like it because it's not some sort of extreme number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another example of how social media really hurts the confidence and the mental health of, designers and junior designers. So,
yeah, I think at the end of the day, what we all should be doing is, well, social media is good if you want to just explore and get ideas, but I wouldn't hold it as like true in what you should be doing. You should be back to like first principles. You should be measuring, if you're doing work, you should be measuring the baseline, measuring after you've launched the thing. And that's the loop that you should be tracking. It's like, did the thing that I create add value, or what KPI did it drive? Was it a success or failure? In both cases, or there's a learning opportunity. If it won, yay, pat yourself on the back. If it lost, there's something to learn there. Iterate, continue. That's where you should be getting your dopamine hit, is from like the tangible things that you work on, not like grasping at straws at the new thing that's coming out. It's a losing game.
Yeah. There's always someone claiming bigger things on social media. So if we wrap this up just as a message of hope for designers feeling burned out and stuck, either because they're without a job or sick of their job, like what's your 1 or 2 sentence help message for them?
Just take a look at the jobs to be done at where you're currently working and focus on that as back to my point, like focus on that work. There's always a new shiny new thing. Turn that off. Take a week, do the work, reflect on your week, and then see how that feels. And then you can turn social media on. You'll see a big difference. You'll see what, like, you didn't miss anything. There's always a new thing. You're not behind.
Yeah. You're not behind. That's a good sentence. compare yourself to you from 6 months ago. That, I think, is my addition to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope that's really helpful. Wishing you as a listener who feels this way and good luck. And it's okay to take a break. It's summer over here. It's okay for a week just to have a walk somewhere, have some ice cream, play with the dog, touch grass is what the cool kids are saying, and then return refreshed, because when you take a step away, you have tons of thoughts and new ideas. I mean, that's always really helpful. So yeah, take a break.
All right, that's another episode in the bag.
Yeah, great episode. By the way, if you're stuck second-guessing your work or trying to figure out your next move, drop a question in the comments or leave a review. We might actually feature you in one of our future episodes.
And if you got any value from this episode, hit subscribe wherever you're listening. It helps more than you think.
You can find everything else, resources, articles, and more at designtablepodcast.com.
Thanks for being here.
See you next time.